Hey, Earthlings. So this is the post-virus haircut. I know the virus hasn't gone away, but most people seem to be acting as though they have. In fact, we did our first street thing yesterday back in Dublin, and I found it quite depressing and disappointing. It doesn't seem that the virus has improved humanity much, um, and it doesn't seem to have stopped people being very reckless with their own and other people's lives either. So there you go. A couple of instances came up, so I thought I'd do a bit of kind of sociology on them. It might be useful in a sense. Well, first one was this homeless guy came. He kind of came past rather than came up, and he was kind of chuntering away as he went past, and basically said, "Well, you realise why the homeless can't become vegetarian, don't you? That's because being vegetarian is too expensive." And then he said, and here's you stood outside the Bank of Ireland, which makes you hypocrites. And so we didn't get a chance to respond to this because he'd gone by then. And I was thinking, first of all, I'm not quite sure why the guy comes up to a vegan event to talk about vegetarianism in the first place. But secondly, the idea that because we're stood outside what was the Bank of Ireland, which is now a museum anyway, makes us hypocrites. So I couldn't work it out. But that's not the main thing. The main thing was we didn't get any bacon shouts and stuff yesterday, but there was some mention of chicken, oh, I'm going to have chicken tonight, ha 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 kind of thing. And it's interesting that because often when people say these comments, they kind of are being said within a group of people, and what's being said doesn't have to make any sense, and it doesn't even have to be funny, and yet people will laugh along. Essentially, what's going on here is a kind of reinforcement that their kind of view is right. They think they're making a point. They think they're making a point against veganism by going, "Oh, I'm having chicken tonight," right? And that's not a point. It doesn't say anything about anything, and yet all their friends will kind of giggle along and go, "Yeah, you're right," kind of situation. What's going on sociologically is that this is like just a group denial situation, where people who agree with each other and are threatened by a position of others are kind of coming together and creating this situation of kind of consensus and kind of opposition to what they've seen. But what they say and how they respond doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. So if somebody comes along and they think they're making a devastating kind of point, but actually they're just talking gibberish, like you often get on social media. Somebody will make a comment and it doesn't actually make grammatical sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever in the context of the conversation that's going on, and yet it'll still get lots of likes. And the reason for that is because they're kind of making a point against a perceived opponent, and the people who agree with making a point against a perceived opponent will then like it as a kind of act of solidarity. It doesn't have to make any sense, and the joke doesn't have to be funny. I've done the sociology of humour, and also obviously as a sociologist we talk about social interaction. It's a complicated thing, but essentially you've got a group of people now in denial, and they're wanting to make a point. They're wanting within their group to kind of like reaffirm that they're right and we're wrong, and so they make a comment. Ooh, bacon. Oh, I'm going to have some chicken tonight, right? And they walk off because they don't want a response. They just want to reaffirm within the group that they're right, and they want to make a smart comment or what they would characterize as a joke. Oh, I was only joking, mate. If you did challenge them, I was only joking, mate. And everybody else would laugh along, even though it's not funny. But that's not the point. It's the functionality of it that's the issue. So, if you do street work and you get these kind of inane comments which don't make any sense whatsoever, well, they kind of have a sociological function, and that's what's going on there. They're not actually trying to make a concise or an important or even a sensible point. That's not what's going on here. They're just trying to say something. They're responding as though we can't let this pass. We can't walk past this vegan event without saying something within our group, because we've got to reaffirm that there's something wrong with what we're just walking past. but what's been said doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. And often it doesn't. Just like on social media, you don't have to make sense to kind of. It's almost like the first person comes along and they're kind of planting their specious flag, and everybody else is saluting it. That's all that's happening. They're not making a point. They're not making a debating point. They're not making a rational argument against you. Nothing like that is going on. That's not what it's about. It's just the fact that they're going, I don't agree with you, but you're doing something that I feel I have to respond to. And that, in a sense, is an interesting thing, because it's the ones who go past kind of blithely, totally ignoring you and almost oblivious that you're there. They're the ones, perhaps, who are the ones that are totally kind of blocked off to us and any kind of vegan argument. At least the ones who say oppositional things have actually noticed you and have kind of on some level comprehended what you're doing, what you're there for, which I suppose in some weird way kind of must give you a little bit of hope. It's the ones who just kind of almost don't seem to register that could be an issue. We do something called Vegan Street, which is a very long thing. It takes a minute to walk past it. But a lot of people just walk past it, and it's as though they're out of focus. They don't see anything. They just walk past it. Other people are looking. They're taking photographs sometimes. They're stopping, reading the odd thing. Okay, Earthlings. The virus is still here, so take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again.